situation on the fire front continuing to evolve. Now, this comes as authorities warn of extreme conditions. They fear the heat combined with windy conditions could make the Grampians fire or any new blazes impossible to control or contain.
We're faced with disasters each year, but the benefit of our organisation's decision making really is, what do the animals need? Do the animals need us? Would our supporters want us to do this? And the answer to both of those questions in the case of the bushfires was yes.
The injuries we're seeing at the Grampians are so different from what I've seen before.
It was just red. It looked like we were driving into hell. I've never seen anything like it before.
We know there's, several thousand animals that need help.
It's just been one grief after another, day after day.
It's just sad.
There's just all these kangaroos and wallabies that have been coming in with burnt paws and burnt feet, burnt hands, and just this incredible suffering.
There's been a long history with Animals Australia working with Vets for Compassion, just helping them with their everyday work, search, rescue, call-outs, and now when it's an emergency disaster situation, they've been holding our hands the whole way through.
Animals Australia has been involved in emergency response during and after bushfire disasters for years now, and our minds immediately turned to what was happening with the wildlife. What did this mean for wildlife, particularly when we saw the scale of the fires and the enormity of this disaster that was unfolding. The team from Vets for Compassion have extensive wildlife experience. This is what they do day in, day out. We know that they're the people for the job because they can deploy quickly, they deploy expertly, and they care so much about these animals that we're helping.
When you see that one solitary animal, whether it's a wallaby or an eastern grey kangaroo, your heart just breaks because you know they've been alone in this burning ground with no food, no water. It's just very emotional. It's eerily emotional.
With macropods, of course, because any that have got away out of the fires, they're creatures of habit. They will go back over. So they go back over the hot ash, and that's when they get the burns to their pads. And of course, you can't see under them, so you really don't know whether they've been burnt or not. And there's been some that they've just been skin and bone, and their feet, all their toes are just cooked.
We came prepared for everything. We were expecting nothing but euthanasia. When these fresh burns came through, we had to pivot pretty quickly to be able to respond accordingly and appropriately. So we brought our triage van down, which was donated by Animals Australia, so that we could actually start triaging and treating patients.
And now it's more about being really good on the vet front. So as well as doing the search and rescue, we've also got to have a vet team that's ready to go, a vet team that's experienced with burns, and then places that these animals can recover, which is a huge thing in a town that's already suffering. So finding good shelters to work with, and now we're actually in the process of building a recovery centre, just so we have space to recover the animals. So Pam is a really dedicated wildlife carer in the area. She actually owns Wildwood Shelter, and she's been looking after animals here, search and rescues, for long before we came along. And I think it's really important when we go into emergency disaster zones to find these people, work with them, because ultimately they will be the people that care for these animals and rehabilitate them till they can be released. I think releasing animals is the whole reason why we do it. We're dealing with animals that we want to bring back to their natural environment and to their home. And so when we get to do that, it feels really special. It validates what we do. These animals don't belong in captivity. They just need to get back to where they came from and find their families again. We've had a swamp wallaby today that we released, and she came into care 3 weeks ago. She had very mild burns and a very swollen toe, and she had a little baby in the pouch. So being able to treat her, recover her, and release her is just magical. It's the full circle coming back. And when she was recovering, she woke up, she held our hands, she ate off my hand, and then she sort of recognized her home, and that was really special.
It's gut-wrenching looking at the destruction here, the homes that have been destroyed, all I see when I look at the Grampians Ranges being burnt is all of those homes that have gone. We can rebuild, humans can buy materials and rebuild homes. How does a possum rebuild an 80-year-old hollow tree? How does a kangaroo rebuild a grassland? The scale of that suffering becomes almost unimaginable. And that's where we have to really redirect and focus and think, well, what can we do? And what can we do in the aftermath? We can help survivors who do have a fighting chance. We can help ease the suffering of those who don't. We can ensure that these animals as a species are better protected going forward, that those incredible animals who've managed to survive these bushfires aren't then going to face a commercial shooter the next night around the corner. Every time there's a disaster, our supporters' minds turn to, what about the animals? We know this. We've seen this time after time, whether it be here in Australia, here in the state or internationally. Our supporters just want to know that somebody's there on the ground helping animals. And so it's thanks to them that we can.